Okay, we started? Hey guys! So for our work sprint, Ben and I decided to make a climate change haunted house proposal.
So, we want you to think about it. I would assume that all of you would have been to a haunted house before. The scary elements that you've experienced, if you tweak it a little, be creative with it, you can actually make them climate change themed.
So this is our layout for the climate change haunted house. So we're gonna lay it out for you. So you start and there's fog around your feet. It's the CO2 emissions. You feel a warmth, like a ray of light. It's the UV rays getting warmer.
And the dripping water was inspired by a haunted house experience I've had before. So the dripping water would actually reflect melting glaciers, and we will have you walk down the stairs to a pit where it's just full of water, and it will be the sea levels rising.
And then you hear all of a sudden the sound of chainsaws and things falling, and it's the logging industry. And you hear unrecognizable sounds. That's actually the frequency that plants and animals have scientifically been proven to make when they're being killed.
And then we will have you imagine ball pits. It's the best thing for kids to swim through, right? Now we want you to swim through trash. We'll have a pit full of trash. At the same time, we'll vibrate the whole area, so it would just be earth-shaking, kind of like fracking. We call this area the fracking trash.
And then all of a sudden, you climb up the stairs, and a light shines on you, and you're faced with your own reflection, and you're confronted with reality. That the scariest thing about climate change is ourselves.
So obviously, all of those are just really rough draft of our idea, but we actually had this idea, I think, in week 5, right? So one of the challenges that we faced was overestimation of time. We thought it was going to take a long time, but in the end, the brainstorming just took about 10, 20 minutes. And after that, we had a lot of free time to ourselves. So the challenge came when we had to develop the idea beyond the proposal, which we didn't manage to. And with that free time, we actually lacked the motivation to carry on. Like, we did not know what to do after we've completed the proposal. And honestly, there are distractions like internships.
But we did really learn a lot by the end. So one great thing that we learned is how to write proposals. That's a really important skill to have. And also, if you have an idea that you really feel the need to communicate with people, just think outside the box. There's lots of creative ways to get messages across that are important to you. The last thing that we learned is that climate change is really scary. And it's something that needs to be addressed. So, thank you.
Questions for Nora Ben?
Why the name XXX?
Well, we couldn't think of a name quite yet. So for our proposal, I know that we have like a link somewhere. We couldn't really decide what we wanted to call it. So then we just called it XXX. Yeah, no.
Okay. So actually, we made this proposal because Nora is really interested in climate change, and I just thought, why not? I had this idea, why don't we just make it a proposal? And in the future, you can actually use it. And so obviously, if Nora is more involved in the environmental organizations and stuff like that, they would usually require you to pitch an idea, and that requires a proposal. So we actually had this whole layout with a lot of blanks sometimes here and there, which you can fill out depending on the organizations you're working for or the new ideas that you have. So we make this proposal for the future, actually. So the XXX is just kind of there to fill in the blanks for you in the future if you ever need it.
I was thinking the Tunnel of Terror, but it's up for interpretation.
Any other questions?
What if climate gets worse and worse? What will be other words than a haunted house where you guys represent? Like you guys do a haunted house, but what if that's not enough to get people to encourage and discover about climate change? What will you guys do?
That's a great question, and I think the only answer is just go outside. At that point, the world is just a big, scary haunted house. But that's a good question. It's an important thing to think about.
Just a little feedback. You guys are fantastic presenters. What I would really like to see is a slightly slower pace and use of the space in a way that you're very good with your body language and your enunciation. You can take it one step further by slowing down. space around you. I also thought this was really well organized, and I felt like I was walking through the haunted house when you were explaining it.